1200 inch-pounds is generally sufficient for most electrical work. It's equivalent to approximately 100 foot-pound. This amount of torque is typically adequate for tightening large bolts and nuts found on electrical panels and transformers. However, there might be some unusual and infrequent situations where you might require more torque than 1200 inch-pounds. These situations could arise when working on exceptionally large electrical equipment or specialized machinery. In cases where you are uncertain whether you will need to apply torque exceeding 1200 inch-pounds, the best course of action is to consult with an experienced and qualified electrician. Alternatively, you should refer to the specific requirements outlined for the particular project you are undertaking. Always prioritize safety and accuracy when dealing with electrical connections and equipment. Using the correct torque is essential for ensuring secure and reliable electrical connections. Insufficient torque can lead to loose connections, which can cause overheating, arcing, and potentially electrical fires. On the other hand, excessive torque can damage the components being tightened, such as stripping threads or crushing insulation. Therefore, using a calibrated torque wrench is crucial for achieving the correct amount of tightness. Be sure to consult the manufacturer's specifications or relevant industry standards for the recommended torque values for specific applications. It is important to understand the difference between inch-pounds and foot-pounds, as torque wrenches are often calibrated in one of these units. To convert inch-pounds to foot-pounds, divide the inch-pound value by 12, since there are 12 inches in a foot. Conversely, to convert foot-pounds to inch-pounds, multiply the foot-pound value by 12. When selecting a torque wrench, consider the range of torque values that you will typically need for your electrical work. A torque wrench with a range of 40 to 1200 inch-pounds should cover most common electrical applications. However, if you anticipate working on larger equipment that requires higher torque values, you may need to invest in a torque wrench with a higher range. Before using a torque wrench, be sure to calibrate it according to the manufacturer's instructions. Calibration ensures that the wrench is providing accurate torque readings. It is also a good practice to periodically check the calibration of your torque wrench to maintain its accuracy. When tightening bolts and nuts with a torque wrench, apply the torque gradually and smoothly. Avoid jerking or over-tightening, as this can damage the components or the torque wrench itself. Listen for a click or other indication that the desired torque value has been reached. Always double-check the torque value to ensure that it is correct. It is also important to use the correct size and type of socket or wrench with the torque wrench. Using the wrong size or type of socket can damage the bolt or nut and prevent the torque wrench from providing an accurate reading. When working on electrical equipment, always follow safe work practices. Disconnect the power supply before working on any electrical components. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as gloves and eye protection. Be aware of potential hazards, such as exposed wires and energized components. If you are not comfortable working on electrical equipment, consult with a qualified electrician. They can perform the work safely and correctly. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, so it is important to take precautions and follow safety guidelines. Proper torquing of electrical connections is essential for preventing electrical hazards and ensuring the reliable operation of electrical systems. So, while 1200 inch-pounds is generally sufficient, always consider the specific requirements of the task at hand and consult with an expert if needed. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides guidelines for proper installation and torquing of electrical connections. While the NEC does not specify torque values for every connection, it does emphasize the importance of making tight and secure connections. Section 110.14 D of the NEC addresses tightness of connections and states that connections shall be torqued in accordance with manufacturer's instructions. If manufacturer's instructions are not available, recognized industry practices should be followed. The NEC also contains tables that provide guidance on conductor ampacity and overcurrent protection. These tables are essential for ensuring that electrical systems are properly sized and protected. For example, NEC Table 310.15. The 16 provides ampacity ratings for various conductor types and sizes based on insulation temperature rating and ambient temperature. Understanding and applying the NEC is critical for ensuring electrical safety and compliance. It is also important to be aware of local electrical codes and regulations, as these may vary from the NEC. Local codes may have additional requirements or restrictions that must be followed. When working on electrical projects, always consult with a qualified electrical inspector to ensure that your work meets all applicable codes and regulations. Electrical inspections help to identify potential hazards and ensure that electrical systems are installed correctly. They also provide assurance that the electrical system is safe for use. In addition to the NEC, other industry standards and guidelines provide information on proper torquing techniques and recommended torque values for specific applications. These standards may be developed by organizations such as the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, or IEE, the National Electrical Manufacturers Association, or NEMA, and the Underwriters Laboratories, or ALL. Consulting these standards can provide valuable information and guidance for ensuring that electrical connections are properly torqued. Furthermore, proper maintenance of electrical equipment is essential for ensuring its continued safe and reliable operation. Regular inspections and testing can help to identify potential problems before they lead to failures or hazards. Torquing of connections should be part of a regular maintenance program. Loose connections can develop over time due to vibration, thermal cycling, and other factors. Retorquing connections periodically can help to prevent these problems. When retorquing connections, it is important to follow the manufacturer's instructions and use a calibrated torque wrench. Also, inspect the connections for signs of corrosion or damage. Replace any damaged components and clean corroded connections before retorquing. The use of anti-seize compounds on threaded connections can help to prevent corrosion and make it easier to torque the connections properly. However, it is important to use the correct type of anti-seize compound for the specific application. Some anti-seize compounds can reduce the friction between the threads, which can affect the torque reading. Consult the manufacturer's instructions for guidance on the use of anti-seize compounds. In conclusion, while 1200 inch-pounds of torque is generally sufficient for most electrical applications, there may be some specific and rare cases where more torque is required. Always consult with an experienced electrician or refer to the specific requirements of the project you are working on. Follow safe work practices and use a calibrated torque wrench to ensure that electrical connections are properly torqued. Be aware of the NEC and local electrical codes and regulations. Maintain electrical equipment properly and retorque connections periodically to prevent problems. By following these guidelines, you can ensure that electrical systems are safe and reliable. Remember, safety is always the top priority when working with electricity. If you are unsure about any aspect of electrical work, consult with a qualified electrician. They have the knowledge and experience to perform the work safely and correctly. Also keep in mind that the information provided here is for general guidance only and should not be considered a substitute for professional advice. Electrical codes and regulations can change over time, so it is important to stay up to date on the latest requirements. Continuing education and training can help you to stay informed and improve your skills. There are many resources available for electricians, including online courses, workshops, and seminars. Taking advantage of these resources can help you to advance your career and provide better service to your customers. Also, remember the importance of documentation. Keep accurate records of all electrical work that you perform, including torque values, inspection results, and maintenance activities. This documentation can be helpful for troubleshooting problems and for demonstrating compliance with codes and regulations. Consider using a software program or mobile app to manage your electrical records. These tools can help you to stay organized and efficient. And always remember that electrical work is a responsibility. You are entrusted with the safety of people and property. Take your work seriously and strive to provide the highest quality service possible. By following these principles, you can have a successful and rewarding career as an electrician. Good luck with your electrical projects, and remember to always prioritize safety.